So a handful of years ago, when I first started out in the transportation safety and health and safety field, I still recall the first safety course that I took as an adult. It was basically an entry-level training course that taught you a lot of you have to knows, you must knows, that kind of thing. And it's really important when you're first starting out. But honestly, the biggest takeaway for me in that course wasn't that information. It wasn't the must-haves and that kind of thing, but it was honestly how that instructor communicated to myself and to the other students in the class. So the instructor did an incredible job highlighting the impact that we're about to have as we make this career transition on countless people, and that we really needed to be proud of ourselves for taking this first step. They also highlighted that I was important and the information was important because it was going to help safely lead countless of people throughout our career. So since then, I've taken a number of different courses, some that have been honestly really good, and others that kind of left you scratching your head being like, why did I invest time, money, and energy into this course? Like, what did I even learn? What was the point? So let me ask you, why do you think some courses are great, others not so much? I honestly feel it's the instructor's ability to effectively communicate. So are they actually communicating properly? So you see, when someone can effectively communicate a message to someone to a point where we felt encouraged in the journey, but also the importance of that information, that's where the real impact happens. And I'm a big, big believer that that's where the training space needs to be. So in today's episode, I'm really excited to interview Vickie DeVos. So she's the owner of Fleet Tax Compliance Services and iMVR Canada. So in this interview, Vickie does an incredible job highlighting the importance of effective communication when working with carriers, professional drivers, basically to help them operate within the boundaries of compliance, but also how her and her team are using brand new technology called Iris in the virtual training environment to really impact her students for the better. So I believe today's interview, it also does a really good job. So Vickie, hats off, you did an incredible job just highlighting the different opportunities in the industry and that it is honestly possible for others to get really just to a point where this is where you're starting out and this is where you're going. Well, let's get to it. Vickie, honestly, super hyped for today. Thanks so much for hopping onto the Truck Focus podcast. This is huge.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. This is an awesome honor.
Really appreciate it. Yeah, our first conversation, I'm normally super talkative, so it's nice to align with someone in conversation ability, but just I think desire to help industry. So yeah, this is I'm very humbled that you joined. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I love the industry. Awesome. There's a huge passion. I absolutely love it. It's a good industry.
Good. Yeah, I agree. And I'm excited for our conversation because I think you do a really good job highlighting that. So why don't you kind of start us off then and kind of highlight, so who is Vickie?
Who am I? Well, you know what, that's always, sometimes it's one of the hardest questions to answer, right? But I entered into the trucking industry over 30 years ago. It was a prominent trucking company that I started out working at reception, not really understanding where I wanted to go. Wasn't trucking. I grew up on a dairy farm. I worked my way through permitting and recruitment, accounting, pivoted ourselves ahead 10 years, and I opened up Fleet Tax Compliance Services. That allowed me to stay at home with my children, and while they were growing up, still stay connected, which I do know now is still my family, which is the industry, right? The one desk passion, like I say, once was then one desk, one person passion. That was the beginning of this big journey, which I honestly, Josh, never ever thought would unfold, and very, very humbled to be able to say that it has. I then opened my first office in Grimsby, Ontario. And then since moved, it was the fifth wheel truck stop. Many carriers are going to be very, very familiar with. They had closed, and so I went up one more exit to the relay fuel bar. So again, directly across. And that's where we are right now. And that's where that's where iMVR has been born from. iMVR is virtual reality created for the trucking industry, with the trucking industry. Who am I? It's a very hard question, Josh. It really, really is. One thing I do know, as a person, the biggest rush I can get is seeing gratitude and success. That's it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's just feeling like seeing somebody struggle or challenge or, oh man, I wish I would have, or just that simple, wow, thank you. Because we remember who those mentors were. That's the biggest rush that I get. That kind of explains who I am.
Totally. Yeah, you're a superhero. It's I think something I really admire most about our industry is opportunity and progress. And it's nice to know you really do a great job painting that picture from you worked for a carrier, you tried this division, you tried this division, you tried this division, you gain some super important experience to start fleet tax compliance services.
Yep.
From there, you're able to say, okay, who can I help? Okay, I can help this part of the industry. I can help this. And then we're obviously going to talk about the growth, and we're going to talk about iMVR Canada, which is super exciting. But I think, one of the biggest compliments our industry gives people that care and people that are ambitious is the progress and the opportunity. And it's nice to see for 30 years you've been running with it and you've been making a huge impact, which I think is absolutely incredible. So
Thank you. It's a great industry. I absolutely love it. It's a very fun, passionate, and when anybody shows that you want to learn, people like engage right away. Like, wow, like you care, you want to learn about their industry. They flourish, and they all of a sudden they just light right up. Their faces light up, and it's amazing how we learn. And that communication piece, it's super interesting. It's nice. It's a good industry.
Completely agree. Yeah, and it's nice that you're willing to share too, because I think we know enough leaders in the industry that sometimes keep the cards a little too close to their heart. And at the end of the day, like I like talking about legacy and I like talking about impact. And I'm like, if you're not willing to show a hand to help someone improve theirs, you're not really doing anyone any favors except maybe your own pocket. And I think our industry has so much more to offer, and our industry needs people, I'd say, like us. And I know we have some mutual friends. Shout out to Shelly and Chris that we were talking about before, where it's the same thing. It's like, how do we help? It's not how does this help me? It's how do we help? And I think that's huge component to just your success. And I think it's super cool.
Thank you. And I'm going to rebound on that. It's funny because that's how we actually are helping ourselves, is by helping others, because we just feel like you feel great, and it's just being connected and surrounding yourselves, with people like Shelly Walker now and Chris Wilkin, like just amazing people.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. So in your journey, when you were working for a carrier, navigating different positions, was it mostly wanting to be home with the kids that kind of sparked your own business? Or was it hey, I can do this better and I can help more people, that kind of sparked the compliance side? Or how did the business structure, I guess, come to mind?
That's really good. It's a very, very good question. How do I say it? I knew it wasn't for me, but I didn't know what it was that I wanted. And then being very, very open and transparent with you, I knew, like within a carrier, but I was limited to being able to help. I wasn't able to get out all the ideas and the passion to be able to communicate. Great carriers, very, very like amazing carriers, right? I knew there was more. I knew there was more that I could give, right? Out that way. Kind of a hard question to answer, I guess.
No, I think you did a good job. And I try and talk to different entrepreneurs in different spaces, and that's a very common theme, is I wanted to do more, I wanted to give more, I wanted to impact more. And in any job, there's a ceiling, and you can really only navigate your head, for those watching on video, so many times in so many ways before you're like, hey, there's more. And the fact that being a loving mother sparked part of that too, I think is it's just incredible. Just being a dad and my wife super involved in what we're doing, that I'm like, okay, I really respect that, because family is first. And I really value the fact that you noticed, okay, I need to do more, and you did more. It wasn't just we're talking about it at the water cooler 30 years later. So I think that's really cool.
Thank you, Josh. It was amazing when the mentor or the colleague that asked me and said, like, why don't you go out on your own? Like, what are you doing? And be home with your thought. Me, is that confidence, self-confidence, whatnot. So I really got thinking about it and like, okay, how can we position ourselves so that is possible? That was, again, it wasn't a monetary thing, but the value that I received being able to spend that time and be there, getting them on the bus, off the bus, and all that, and be able to attend any of the events that I wanted to, schedule around majority, right? I just gave it to who, and they got to see what it's like working, the parents. So they gained a lot as well, that, they had to sacrifice some things too that, yeah, as you're saying, no, sorry, mom and dad are at work right now. Yeah, but you're just not home, it's different. It's learning the whole circle of everything, I guess.
Totally. Yeah, no, I really respect that. And I appreciate the vulnerability too, because one of my goals, and I noticed you hit it really fast, is getting to, I call it the passion talk, where maybe someone kind of stumbles through the first couple of questions, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, the people stop sweating and whatever, and then they're comfortable. That's where the passion comes in, and you hit that really fast, which I like, because that's the value. And yeah, being able to see it on your face, I think it's really special, because it's like, hey, I'm hitting my goals now too. So it's just nice to see.
Great. Yeah, it feels good. It's just, I know now there's clear vision. The plan's there's clear vision. There's no question. It's just, okay, let's unfold it, unpeel it. And that's exactly where we're at. And it's great. It's, being able to pivot within, it's fun. It's great. It's fun. Yeah.
Good. No, that's awesome. So when we're talking fleet tax compliance services, first off, we have to name drop the website, or I guess drop the website name. And can you highlight the services offered and kind of who's your ideal client when you're working with different carriers and people in industry?
Sure. So fleet tax compliance services. So website, www.fleettax.com. With that being said, I like to refer to ourselves as a one-stop shop for the trucking sector. When carriers or new carriers coming in, they're looking for advice, not legal advice, right? But advice, support, mentorship, right? That's where we are. We offer drug and alcohol services. So we have 3 certified technicians on site. We do actual on-site, like outside of the building, like we'll go to carriers as well. We offer that service as well. Carrier compliance, permanent authorities, setting up carriers to grow across North America, down in Mexico, whatnot, and being able to maintain those authorities too. Like we're well into the renewals now, talking about 2022. And with that, it's like building a carrier with them. Like, they say, oh no, I'm only going to stay with 1 truck. Okay. Well, when you do get to 3 trucks, let's build, let's save, and work with them that way. IRP, fuel and mileage tax, being able to work with a carrier to be able to set them up so that we can be their assistants, but allow them, like, let's save pennies. Let's be smart about it, right? Let's set it up. When you position yourselves at that point in as a carrier, you could do a part of it yourself, and then we mother, if you will, the account, send it in. Yep, everything looks right. Perfect, good. It's a peace of mind, right? So yeah, as I mentioned, new carrier setup packages. Basically bring them in. We go through all their options and whatnot, what they need. They cross the board their first time with the 30 binder, right? And we're beside them, in the back of the office. Okay, everything's like bang, 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 in its clarity. It's just having that, like, where do I go? Like, how do I, hit all of the regulations and, compliance, whatnot. Driver meetings.
Nice.
Again, let's pivot ourselves back in the day, if you will, Josh. I remember Carrie saying, oh, if I have to do another hours of service or logbook seminar on a Saturday, I'm going to hurt, right? And you got to feel for it, right? There was not a whole lot of change. Our industry didn't change, right? Yeah, it's changed now.
Yeah.
Right? And it was just like, so we did those, and a lot of we added a lot of unique ones, and the load securement, brought in retired MTO, active MTO, or employed at that point. A lot of driver meetings, and just did them a little bit different, had a little edge to it. And with that, a lot of audit support. So either prepping a company to strengthen pre-audit, or they got the letter or they got the call or whatever it may be, and then unfolding it and representing them on that behalf. That's pretty much, as a nutshell, what we do. It's a smaller company. We don't have thousands of clients in any which way. And that's pretty much where we at. It's very, we will be growing, but not a whole lot. You'd ask, who are the ideal clients? People that want to improve, right? If you're looking for loopholes, if you're Driver Inc., we're not the place to be. I had no use for, I'm sorry. I guess maybe I should watch my words a bit.
No, it's good. Preach it.
Yeah, I think it should be I think it should be a fair playing field. With that being said, for our government, for our carriers, for our insurance, and ultimately the driver. I can't strengthen it, and so who in the compliance side of things, if they're looking to have the ELD, will be prior to, let's go back again a few years. Can you work with that? No, I don't know anything about it. Off you go.
Yes. Yeah. No, you touched on some, I say not some sweet spots, but some sensitive spots in my heart too, because I think you can be very successful while operating within the boundaries of compliance. I just think you need to know the rules of the game and understand weight thresholds and cargo securement and hours of service and the purpose of a trip inspection. So that way, okay, I can excel within the boundaries of what I have, instead of thinking I need to cheat that, probably because you don't actually understand it, or you think the grass is greener on that other side, when really that's a fatality waiting to happen. And yeah,
100% right. And we know that it's awful, what has happened, but let's be proactive to anything future, right? And you don't gain, you don't, yeah.
No, you're right. And we talk about, there's a driver, if you want to call it driver shortage, people can define that differently. But I think sometimes it's just the lack of understanding to retain. And part of that is remembering we're all human. And if you ask a human that cares about their family, cares about themselves to cheat, well, they're not going to stay. And that comes in a lot of different faucets. But if we're talking ELDs now, if we're talking, paperwork, if we're talking, like, I see it all the time. I live in Alberta, and there's a lot of rural roads around where we live. And I'm like, you're not supposed to be on this road right now, but they're bypassing the scale because either they're not confident or they're actually breaking the law, deliberately. And you're like, a little bit of education goes a long way, because right now I'm like, I question if we're even insurable. And if you crash, I don't know. But there's a lot of the domino effect that just some people don't get. And it's nice to hear that you stand up for, hey, I'm not doing business with you because I am the straight and narrow. So I have
no interest. There's comfort and understanding. And that's one of the core values as we'll talk further about iMVR. And that's a core value. That when you understand, you're comfortable. And it feels good to be comfortable, right? It's just having that understanding. You're not on edge. You're not scared. You're not, I believe there's value in that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's nice to hear that, because being in different parts of the country, I really focus a lot of effort in the alignment of good people, and you just keep validating that. So I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, value isn't always, doesn't always have to be monetary. There's a lot of other, just understand who I am as a driver, understand what their day is all about, and giving that comfort. There's great value. Like, I don't want to leave. They care about me. Like, wow.
Yes.
There's no money in that. Yes, it takes, but it doesn't take a lot just to be a good person.
I read a study a while ago. It wasn't in trucking, it was in tech. And this tech company, it was in Australia, Monday to Thursday was business. And then from their normal start time till lunchtime was basically be creative time. and whatever you want to build for our current clientele. And then we celebrate in the afternoon. And it was all about recognition over dollar, because people think it's always about a bonus. And it's like, sure, a bonus is nice, but I also want to be valued. And yeah, their retention and their profit and their ROI was fantastic because of that model. And I'm like, the trucking industry needs to really think about that, because I try and say it all the time, thank you, and identify me as a professional. You're a professional driver, and I'm not perfect for sure, but yeah, I think our industry needs more of that for sure.
Yep. Yeah. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So in your experience, what do you think is, I guess, the greatest or the biggest, whatever word I should use, hurdle preventing a carrier from operating within the boundaries of compliance? Would it be knowledge? Would it be, if we talk about money, like they think it costs too much to run legally, or what do you think in your experience?
I think a lot of it is communication. We communicate differently, but has it been addressed? If let's pivot industry back, let's say 20 years. Let's go pre-social media. Going down the road, you CB, how did you contact? There was that voice on the other side. The reading piece wasn't to the extent, like it's important. We have to read. It's just, you have to know your road signs. It's a must. There's a lot more to it today. How do you read and drive? Right? How do you go, like that communication? It's totally changed, right? The card games at the truck stop, if you will, right? Truck stops are a whole different place compared to what they were. Let's go back that 20 years. Not all bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean it that way. It's just, it's different. And have we observed, and has industry took on, like how that social media and the value of communication, there's so much to be said about it. And having that joke, and like I say, there's so much fun in the industry, and just hearing the, if you will, the one-liners outside, and there's nothing I love more, Josh. I just cringe. If the drivers come in, they're coming in for a drug test. What more would you want to do on your day after you've been conditioning your body to go all the way on the road? Okay, I can only do 70 hours. Like, we're talking 70 hours in a week, not 40, 70. You condition your body to stay on the road. It's all good, okay? And all of a sudden, you get the call from dispatch. Okay, we're going to uncondition you. You're going to be on duty, not driving. And you get to, find the place, all the rest of it. Okay, got your appointment, got to be there on the appointment time. It's like for a drug test, right? And then, so you condition your body. Then all of a sudden you say, okay, now we need a sample urine. Oh, okay. And then, so it's like, so you come in anxious, all the rest of it. So look at the personality that I've put onto it's not their fault.
Yeah.
And being able to turn it and have that communication and understand, and we get it. I love that. I love not the feeling that comes in. I love that feeling that goes out that door. And you hear it like left, right, and center. It's like no driver leaves it, and it's just not fair. There's so much after, right? There's so much on their plates, like so much, and they don't complain about 70 hours. Yeah.
No, and I think that, to me, I identify those as pivotal impacts. So that's a pivotal impact in that professional driver's life, and guaranteed they're going to tell someone else, and the trickle effect from that. So I really value that business practice, but also just the humanity factor, because it's like, hey, welcome, not a go stand in line. Like just the shift in attitude and communication. I think that's super important.
Thank you. Like, and just being able to, as we're talking about communication, and another situation that just came up. A driver, very, very well seasoned driver, 35 plus or 30 years plus. He's got a small company. He's got 6 units, all specialized oversize, Canada, US. This driver knows his stuff. He's the driver that you want, like what the escort, the oversight, like he just knows his stuff. Sitting across the desk from me last week, Josh, and he's back. He says, "You're not gonna believe it. I'm gonna tell you. What's going on?" I didn't get my Z endorsement. I didn't get my air brakes. What? I didn't get that. This carrier, like this driver, professional driver, is your ultimate like it just, you know, whether it be spirit, skill set, understanding of the industry, you didn't pass it. Again, going back to that communication piece, says Vic, there's questions on there about an RV. I don't understand. I'll admit it. But I could take apart any piece or any brake system. I just like to put like zillions apart. You know what I mean? Put them back together. It's just what I do. But I failed. Well, you're going to go back at it, right, Paul? Oh, yeah, 1,000,000%. There's no question about it. But it sure did set me back. It's like, that's the piece in me. It's like, I can understand why it is. But it's like, maybe we could help. There's got to be that piece, that communication. So start saying like challenges with the industries, you know. I think it's just understanding and having an ear to the ground and listening to the pain points and just seeing like it's going to take time, but we'll get there. You know, it's working with the industry, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway is working with industry. And that's all parts of industry, working with industry, not just, I won't throw shade at the government because I think sometimes even their hands are tied.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you 100%. And I don't mean it bad in any way. Like I really, really don't.
Yeah.
Like I 1,000,000% don't, but it's like, I'm confused, right? The government's not doing it to put the industry out of service. They're not, it isn't that way. It's just, again, it's just another communication, you know, and it's just about understanding. Like our governments are great.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. They're right. And they are listening. And that's super important. That means a lot, right? It just takes time.
I think our industry as a governing body from association government, even business needs to really monitor first and second language, male versus female, like not saying that we're that different, but I know tone is important. I know eye contact is important. I know, okay, I said something once and I don't think you comprehend what I said. So I'm gonna say it a different way. I'm not gonna embarrass you when I say that. I'll explain it this. Okay, I can navigate, I shifted. Oh, now you get perfect. We're on the same page, but I think our industry can do a lot better of the, like, I'm Caucasian and I'm really sensitive just to people around me because like my wife is Thai Lao and like her grandma does not speak English. So for me, I'm like, how do you communicate? Smile and wave. It's like,
right?
But just being sensitive, I think, to other people, regardless obviously of nationality and stuff. But I think that's one of the biggest areas our industry can get better, especially with training, tests, road tests, everything, because it's like, not everyone learns like you did. And like whoever that instructor may be or whoever that evaluator may be. So there's room for improvement. Yeah.
And there's another, like, it's such, with that being said, this is such a hands-on job. It really, really is. So if they're being able to have an impact that way, I think there'd be great value with it. I really, really do. We all learn differently, which is awesome. It really, really is. It's just, but understanding that side of it, there's great value in. There's different ways and just taking time.
Yeah, no, I agree. So with your, so we're still talking about fleet tax compliance services, but what would you say has been the biggest win for you over the last X period of time? You can dictate that, but just, with your business, if it's an impact with a person, a carrier, within your family, what would you say is your biggest win?
Having my daughter take over. She's pulled the reins, she's passed the torch, and it's pretty much across. So she's taken the reins all the way across. She's not alone in it in any which way. I'm still in it very, very deep and thick. There's no questions asked. But it's amazing, and coming up with the creativity and seeing the new, like her ideas coming in, right? If we go back in life, Josh, and she'll often say it. She says, I remember, I'd have trip envelopes all over the floor, right? And all I wanted, okay, here, you put number 1, 2, 3. It was unit number, 101, 102. You could put them all in order and whatnot, and then she had a big array, and then she's putting herself forward, and here I am today. Like, so from the dinner table conversation, hearing my side of it, right? Dad is, again, in trades as well, but in natural gas. Nice. Right? Brother is a pipeline welder, so it was all, that's kind of the, but when she came to me and said, I'd like to help more. Like, wow. That was the biggest win. That industry, like, yes, family, I'm not scared away, but there's realize that the great value of impact that you can have and how you can change and help lives.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say that was the best. Yeah.
Oh, it gets me so excited.
It is. It's just, it feels great because she knew the virtual reality company that we was opened together with her. She knew that it needs more, like, hey, where it's going. And, it's just, okay, we just have to balance it all out and get the plan together and then just execute the plan. And it's now executing. And I think that would be the basic. There's many success stories, but that would be, yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you.
For those that can't see, I'm fist pumping because I love that. I love the journey. And we talk about family mission all the time. My 11-year-old Avery, he's very involved in this part of our journey. And we part of it is I see opportunity in tech. I see opportunity in public speaking, and I want him just to experience it. But the biggest thing is the people side and who he can impact even at his age. But again, it's nice to hear that side of your story because well, in a sense, as mom, but also as role model in industry, I could guarantee thousands of times she could be like, I want to do that. Look what she's doing. I want to do that. And I think that's one of the biggest hero stories we can have. So really good job. That's really cool.
It's very interesting. I kind of go on a side, mindful of time, but it was very interesting. And that's where the VR came from, or was a big piece of it. Through school, it wasn't her, she just learned differently. You know what I mean? Forget Excel, top notch. There's no question at all that way, but just a different way of learning. And once you positioned it and you kind of, read it to her, you're kind of going at different things and whatnot. Oh man, take off and go on with it. It just took that. It was just a different way, and that's what I think is like super interesting. Well, hey, I learned differently. Yeah, so
yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's just okay. Let's embrace on it, and
yes. That's huge. And I think that's a great segue into where we're going right now is iMVR Canada. And I can't say I'm the biggest tech person, but I get super excited when I see a different type of technology helping people I really care about. And I think that's one thing that really stood out when I first even learned, okay, who's Vickie? And what is this? Like, I see your stuff on social, and then obviously our mutual friend Shelly, I've seen you guys communicate on stuff. And I'm like, what is this? The more I learn, again, the more I get excited because I see big picture. So I'm really excited to talk about that. And I like the fact that you mentioned different style of learning, because I'll let you share. I'm not going to steal the floor, but it's nice knowing that's front of mind with this entire, I'd say, initiative. And the mission that you're on is let's train differently, and the results are already here. So can you kind of highlight, so what is iMVR Canada? Of course, where's the website, or what is the website? And please, whatever you're comfortable sharing, just spill the beans, because I love it.
Thank you. So the website, www.imvrcanada.ca. It's a fun website. Everybody's website is awesome. I like to put this kind of a fun edge on it, a little unique edge on it, and whatnot. We're having that driver be able to actually see it, answer the questions, right? And to be able to go through it that way, being able to see it, touch it. We learn, and it's proven fact over the years, 70% when we see, hear, and touch, right? It's there. The retention is there. The facts are out. It's working with it. So with that being said, kind of repeat myself again. iMVR is virtual reality, which has been created. You're fully immersed in. You start out with a circle check, PTI, all different types of equipment, all different kinds of trailers, times a day, weather elements, language in the GPS. Pulls you all through different modules as what your day would be, right? And you can implant different major and minor defects. You can position a driver to go through an area with that. So you're pre-planning or responding, let's say, to that vehicle inspection, right? Or that call in, hey, I just seen one of your drivers, right? Or, we've got a little problem with, let's say, personality within the fleet. Either we need to increase it because the self-confidence just isn't there for whatever reason, or we need to deplete it a little bit. Let's start putting in some. Let's start, you know what I mean? And what are they talking about? They're talking about training, and it's embedded, you know? Over and above that, I'm very, it's very humbling to be able to say, Josh, our team was able to create the eye tracking code. As the driver, it has the headset on with the trainer. Whoever's looking in or in the replay, you don't see it with the headset on. It's clear vision. You see a red line, right? That's where the driver's eye's looking. You see, if you're looking in the top of the mirrors, they're backing, right? In the convex, hey, if you were to position your eye, it's opening that dialogue of conversation, right? With that being said, in the replay, if I can, Josh, let's position you, let's say the last time that you were you're backing your car into whatever spot, right? In the last, let's say 3 minutes of driving prior to that. If you could actually replay that, even though you're doing it with a VR headset on, let's give ourselves some credit for what we did see versus, or maybe we need to brush up, right? Having that replay go in, and let's say as we're driving or as we're parking the unit, right? The pivot point, even though the personal vehicle, now let's put ourselves forward into, the tractor trailer, right?
Yes.
Being able to reposition it, you can take the cursor. So we're doing a replay. It's just on your computer. You can't do it yet. Hardware is not strong enough on a handheld phone, right? So it has to be a monitor that way. You take your mouse and you drag it just like you're going to go down Google Maps or, and go down the road and all that. You do the same thing. So let's take a different look let's look at it from this angle. We're creating communication and conversation, and then it's there, right? In the GPS itself, you go from yard to yard, you're shunting, right? In the GPS, it'll say in the, say native language, right? Let's say in French first, and then it will say it in English. Just to be able to help and reinforce that language, right? Okay, here, we're gonna start it in the language we're comfortable with, great, right? Now let's reinforce it in English, right? And then on they go. Different weather influence, it's fun. Again, you're fully immersed in it. You're hearing the sounds. Yeah, you can't look at your own personal phone. Although I will say in the truck itself, there's a cell phone that rings. And I pick on industry, it does say dispatch, and if it goes down, and you could see in the replay or whoever's watching the trainer, you can see if the driver's eye did go down. Because we know that if your eye goes down to that phone, for it to go back and actually refocus in, it takes 3 seconds. It's not just, I just got, no. An average, right, is 3 seconds. That's a long time. A lot of stuff can happen. Yeah. Where are you, you're tired, like all those implements. Again, it's virtual reality though, Josh. It really is. It's not the real, nothing will replace it. But if we can give that power tool, right, to be able to say, hey, you know what, if you were to do this, it can make your life, try doing this. This is a pivot point. This is what's going on. And then I'm going to say, as I kind of watched myself. Credibility is very, very important. My core values. When this was created, I looked at the US FMCSA's drug and alcohol policy. How do they know that's the driver doing that? You have to have your certification, right? So we've got the same process. Anybody that's going through, you're not just receiving this package and away you go. You do receive the package, yes, right, the kit. But you also receive, I like to say, 8 hours, 2 days, you're comfortable. And then you're certified, and that lasts for 2 years. So you're saying, so you've got a certified iMVR license that you're going to own up that is Josh that's behind that headset, and you have to sign in with your credentials. Or we've got it monitored at our end, so we could tell if those credentials, like, okay, hold on a minute, how can you be over here and over here? It doesn't work like that, right? And there's more technology that's coming that will be coming back, so we'll be able to see, like, face back, right, and be able to identify, just so that we can verify, yeah, that is who that is behind there. Again, that credibility factor, right? And to be able to understand, as what a certified drug or alcohol, technician is, there's not, I wouldn't say a lot to it, but you feel better when you understand, and being able to, a portion of it is adult learning, right? How do you teach with that? How do you work with adults? How do you, I don't know, if you've never been exposed to it, I don't know, maybe it comes naturally, but it's important to know that, okay, well, you will be working with adults. And if you're certified to be able to, this is how adults generally learn. It's a little bit different, but we touch on it and kind of go at it that way.
Smart. So much value. So from the communication, I love the fact that they're a certified trainer too, because then they have credibility with whoever they're doing it with as well. So whoever's wearing the headset, they know, okay, whoever's behind me or beside me, they know what's up. Yeah. And it's a really phenomenal opportunity, like you mentioned, to improve, maybe create a little humility, but also put in real life, hey, this is what we're up against scenarios, just to make them aware, like, oh yeah, I remember that, because 70% was hear, see, and touch, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that the value there, especially for maybe someone, we'll go on like the newer driver side, or I need to build my confidence side, or even I had a collision, now I'm nervous side. Okay, well, let's work you through some stuff.
It's fair.
The communication and just the positive reassurance during and basically throughout and then post when you're doing the conversation, I think is probably one of the biggest takeaways for a student, because if it's, I don't know how, well, I guess ask the question, what's the set training time that they would put, like they would go through? Is it 2 hours, 1 hour for the trainee, or how long is it?
Good question. A really good trainee is in somebody new, first time being behind the VR headset.
Yeah.
Good question. I call it a 6-gate process, right? In the first gate, you're watching like the first set, and it's approximately 10 minutes. And in there, what we're doing is the trainer is showing you, you're sitting in the trainer has the headset on, right? Explains, this is what the remote is. And it's like your remote on your TV. It's a little handheld, very simple, 4 buttons, right? This is what it does do. It takes away that kind of like, this is all unknown, right? Again, the very first time being in, let's say, let's say, a cement truck, if you will. It's different. It's like, hey, we got to get that comfort. Again, there's comfort and understanding. So you got to break that piece. And it's important that you have that for success. It's all baby steps. So this is what we call gate 1. And in there, they understand, they see it, right? The trainer will show you how we call it teleporting. So how you can move, you're going to be in a 4x4 area, but you're going to be able to go down a 53-foot trailer in the tractor and do a full PTI. You're going to be able to go underneath. You're going to be able to go all around, do what you want. You can climb up the cement truck and see if you got any debris on top. So you got low securement up there. To be able to understand all those things, super important. That's gate 1. So it's just understanding. And then you get to watch the trainer's replay. Right? Again, we like to say 10 minutes. It can be expanded more, right? And then just taking a break from that. From there, gate 2 is turning, again, flipping the side, the driver then completes a PTI. No assessment. You're not implementing any major or minor defects in any which way. Simple, clear day. Just get used to what it's like, you know, and just talk to them. Like, how do you feel? You know, like this, and just talk, be there for them, work with, you know, it's super important, right? From there, we get into the drivable. Okay, so you're in the seat, headset on, and watching how, adjusting the mirrors, excuse me. So sitting in there and understanding where the buttons are, right? It's a little bit different. Again, nothing will replace it. It's like riding a bike. Once you get used to it, it's like, yeah, here, there you go. You just don't think about it, right? So, and the importance of setting your mirrors properly, right? That in itself. So again, this is onboarding, right? That can further for a whole conversation, you know, like there's so much opportunity for training and everything that afterwards, but just being able to, okay, this is how you adjust your seat, right? You're going to adjust your mirrors. Are you comfortable, right? And then going into gate 4, we couple and uncouple, couple or uncouple the trailer. So you can get out. It's like, well, if I'm sitting down right now, how do I get out to, you know, if again, we know, or we know that with drive tests, you have the blocks, right, chocks. How do I move, like, and understanding that piece. So first the trainer does it, shows, okay, you are going to get up out of your chair. And we're going to show you how it happens in the safety, right? And then the driver does that. So you can couple or uncouple the trailer, right? We don't expect success this first time, just experience it. That's it, just experience. Right? Again, that's 20 minutes, and you better have to stop, leave it, let that embrace, you know what I mean? And process that, right? You're better off coming in different sessions, or you have a whole day, it's depending, every carrier is going to be different, right? But this is the process. The second is backing. So again, we're still off the roadways, right? Right, whole piece. You can do a 90-degree back, offset, blind side. Again, it's all picked. We always do it very simple first. You're watching the trainer. Again, then we flip, right? And you back in, right? And just be able to understand, like, no, this isn't the real thing, but I'm going to kind of go off on this one a little bit. Going back again, when we started our drug and alcohol testing, right? And shy bladder, okay, that's fine, whatever. You sit there, and, you know, whatever. It's got a remote control truck, and it had just masking tape on the floors, right? Like, it's a creative industry. We love it. They're a fun industry. Hey, you know, don't worry about it. You don't want to make somebody feel bad, like, because they've conditioned their body. Like I was saying, like, it's like, hold on here, world, right? Yeah. Hey, here's a remote control. Why don't you try backing that in there? It's amazing. Even though it's not the real thing, you can tell somebody, a skilled driver, or sorry, a professional driver, if you will, from somebody that's just entering into the industry. It's that pivot point. That driver knows when to turn and how to get in there to be able to, and you know, what are you doing for the landing speed? What do you like? It's super interesting, right? Something so, and you see where I'm kind of going at it. With that being said, seeing the pivot points, backing in, having that skill set, again, it's understanding, and this is all the slow speed, because you don't want motion sickness in any which way, right? You have to be very, and that's the trainer. You just go at it slowly, right? It's like anything. If you go at it, you take it slow, your body gets used to it. Right. Very first time on the road, the driver, your body wasn't conditioned to stay out there that long. But over time, right? Again, just baby steps, right? And it doesn't take too many times. And you got it, right? The next, then we introduce to the yard. We go around the yard, and that's gate 6. You're going around the yard, understanding acceleration and braking, right? Are you comfortable? And this is a 20-minute. Again, the trainer doesn't do it first. It's the driver that does this in gate 6, and basically saying, okay, are you ready to be able to go out past the scale, like the yard scale? Are you ready to go onto the roadway, and we'll go yard to yard, right? But they have to be able to say, yes, I am ready, and prove to the trainer that, yeah, they are ready. And that's about a 20-minute process. Can it be done in a day? Yes, right? We're all different. Right. And that's the key to it. I reckon what I like the most is to see it divided into 2 different days, but 2 different sessions. So you're going to come in, you're going to understand a little bit first, and then understand a little bit on the second day. For a driver to come in and do a PTI. Oh yeah, that's, we'll have drivers come in, Josh, it's nice. They're coming in for pre-employment drug test. Right. And they're saying, hey, you know what? Send them through, see what they can do with the, circle check. And it's amazing. You could tell whether or not they understand. It's very, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I think something that really stands out is the trust you build between the trainer and the individual too. So they're maybe 45 minutes in, there's probably some sweat, some laughs, and then they're asking her the questions. How did you do that? What did you do? I think that would be like, I call it an Instabond, because really you're that intimate where you don't really get that in a normal onboarding situation, especially when there's multiple people. So I think that's a huge success for sure.
Yeah. And knowing that once it's online, Josh, again, let's go back to the drug and alcohol. We're going to flip our heads a minute. Everything is recorded. And everything is on there. So if you go on to, let's use Driver Check, if you will. Okay, right across Canada, great company. They have the Amanda online system, right? It's the same concept. You can view the results. You can view the control and custody form, right? You can see what the test was requested, when it was requested. It's that same format. You can go in, so once it's completed, it automatically loads up onto the cloud, right? And then you can go in and say, okay, we requested a pre-employment. Oh, okay, Josh has completed it. Bang, the notifications come up on your computer. Oh, wow, Josh did it. I wonder how he did the first time. Now you've got that communication, your whoever sent you in, right? I guess it's not DER, but your trainer that sent you in can now giggle with you, and you can build that bond as you're coming back, like, hey, what were you doing inside? Things are going to have it, but it's about communication and knowing that, hey, I was there, I did see it. So you've got your e-logs, which are awesome. All the rest of it, you got that pre-planning happening. You got dispatches there to help, not dispatch, but the planning. The safety. They're there. If we're all here together, you're not alone on the road. That's what it was a long time ago, right? It's just understanding that communication piece. Yeah, I might have kind of went off a little bit on that. You can tell the passion is
it's a superpower. I'm telling you, the world needs more of Vickie. So I'm glad, because I think, especially to those listening, that if you're listening, obviously you're trying to picture this. If you're watching, you can see a little more expression just because you can see us. But I think you did a really good job highlighting the wins and highlighting that, sure, being in a real truck needs to still happen, but you're going to be comfortable when you enter, and you actually know how to enter. You know how to step in, you know how to step down, you know how to, it's funny how I can tell who's someone who's either they're nervous or they're new because they don't adjust their mirrors. They just go in, and I'm like, you sure you're ready to rock and roll? And you're just like, take a deep breath. Like, it's cool. We got some time, but yeah, you break a lot of those barriers really fast. And from a retention standpoint too. So if it's training, if it's new hire onboarding, you have, like I said, that relationship. And I think that's something, like I mentioned earlier, our industry really needs to focus more on. So you're solving that problem at the same time, as well as the safety and the compliance concerns, because again, it's an intimate, let's do this. So I think there's so many wins there. It's incredible.
Thank you. And it's there, it's on there. The record is there, right? As long as you've got access, as long as you're on, as long as you're in partnership with us, right? You've got access to it. But even if you aren't, we will have that record there. It's just the way it is. It's, the security, all the rest of that's all been looked after on that side. Another little piece that's super, super interesting. We're going to go off on a little bit here, Josh. Mechanics. So a good example is my brother's a heavy diesel mechanic, and he's had his license for quite a few years. And I remember him saying, he says, Vic, it's quite funny. I don't know, what's this? What's going on? I can understand how to repair. Now, this is heavy equipment like earth moving, right? I can understand how to repair all the rest of it. He says, but what I can't understand is that I have to take this on a road test. I've never operated one of these. I don't know what it's like. Do you see where I'm coming at? So for a mechanic, it's okay that you got your list. That's awesome. That's great. But how are you supposed to know how it feels? If you don't, right? There's that side of it. And then there's the other side. Okay, well, let's put a mechanic's hat on. How frustrating that mechanic must be, because the driver is a professional driver, not a mechanic. Yes. Right? But they can't describe that part. I don't know, it's feeling like that. Well, okay. There's so much value in this power tool, or like our phone, right? I know if I had everything put into my phone the way it should be and to its max, it would be, let's all be human and be, own up to things that we haven't. Yeah, but when Brent had said that, it's like, so true.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I know it works, but I don't know if it, I don't, it's.
And I do what it's supposed to do.
Exactly.
There's a difference between, no, that's an interesting point. And I have a lot, well, I won't say a lot anymore, but I used to be a mediocre equipment operator. And normally when I travel down the road, I'm like, I've actually never operated that one. That was the first couple of years of my journey. And I'm like, if you're feathering I'm not very good at leveling, but when you're feathering controls and you're watching grade and you're watching a hill and there's people behind you, like all of those things.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's right. So for a mechanic that hasn't experienced that, right? And, so like there's that piece of it, but it's not just truck driver, or professional drivers. It's not, there's just so much. And then let's flip our hat again. Okay. What makes a great dispatcher? Yes. Right? If somebody that's doing their ACE manifest and PARS, right? And that's if somebody's doing that, understand what that driver has gone through and was up at 4 a.m., right? And, wherever doing their PTI, all the rest of it. And now it's 9 and they're, they've been through all that, they're tired, all the rest of it, right? And they're waiting for their ACE manifest and understand the pressure. And when they're getting on the professional drivers trying their best and they're so awesome. But understanding on the other side, I really want to make sure this is done for them.
Yes. And done right.
That exactly. There's no problems, so on the inside, and it's great. It's fun learning, right? Oh, okay. This is what it's like, flipping the other way. Shelley Walker, even Alhash, prior to August, we've done an awful lot. I'm on the board with the Women's Trucking Federation, and we've been to a lot of schools. Getting that message out there, I find, is amazing. It's how long does it take, I guess, was our original question. We've kind of gone off a little bit, but it takes only a few minutes to be able to engage people in the possibilities of what there is, right? And brought the equipment with Shelley to many school functions and whatnot. There's many more coming up, and to be able to open it up and say, this is what the industry is all about. Right? Like, look at yourself, Josh, and what you've contributed. And as we talked earlier, where your plans are going. Like, this is awesome.
Yes.
And like, I never realized, like, honestly, when I was 11 is what your son is.
Yeah.
I didn't know this possibility existed. It's like, she's doing a very good job. I total kudos for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She actually joined this episode 45 with Avery. So we have a series called The Youthful Take on Transportation. And the entire objective is industry leaders. So I'd love for you to join, now that you mentioned the school side of it. It's kind of the dots collect, where Avery would interview you and 5 or 6 kind of key questions, again, at his level, so he can retain some knowledge about industry in a different light. So that way he can spew it out to his friends. And some of his best friends, like their dads are professional drivers. And he's like, really? Oh, so he's talking with a podcast and he's talking about different people he's connected with. And I'm like, okay, that's the goal, like in motion. But yeah, you're right though. It's like you can do what in trucking? Like it's just, it's an eye opener for sure. So I think it's what you guys are doing in the East is just, I'm envious I'm not there because I would love being in that environment. But that's cool.
It's working together and having this connection. It's just like, oh, look out. You know what I mean? Yourself is like, let's bring it on. Let's bring that energy. It's who is surrounding yourself with, such positive energy. And that's what the industry is. Very, very, very positive. I find, but they've got so much on. They've got a lot on their plates. There really, really, really is. So what can we do to make it easier and better and, protect them? It's important.
Yes. So throughout the conversation, I make a bunch of notes because that's one way that I learn, or I guess retain information. And you talk about communication. I think you do a really good job being an effective communicator. And I could just tell, obviously we're virtual, but in person too, it would be like I just want to give you a hug kind of feeling, which I think is, again, it's a superpower because our industry needs more of that. And I talk about, I use the word legacy all the time. I think legacy, especially if we focus every day, it's kind of like character. Like, what do you want to be remembered for? And do you actually pay attention? Those kind of things. So I'll ask you that question when we're thinking in the space of legacy. And I'm not going to give you an answer. This is just my perception is when we're talking about communication. But what do you feel you want or you feel your legacy is in our industry?
It's a good question. Honestly, Josh, I hope I could save one life, the minimum. I know I've been successful. I know this will save more than. And if I could get that message out that this is new technology for many industries. It really, really is. Don't buck it. Give it a chance. It works. Right? There's power in communication, right? I think that's what, if I could in any which way, that's kind of, I'm giving you two answers, I guess. There's such value in communication. If we communicate, let's get our message out, let's heal. And that's who I am. It's a very hard question.
Save it for the end on purpose. That's a really powerful answer though, because again, I ask it because I like thinking about it myself, and I'm a massive believer in self-talk and monitoring how I self-talk. So I ask myself that basically every day, like, okay, who is Josh today? Who am I going to impact today? And I can tell, maybe if you don't even ask yourself that question directly, indirectly, that's always front of mind for yourself, obviously for your daughter, because she took the reins in your team of now 12, 10 plus 2, which I think is super incredible. And I think just you enter into a place where someone comes to your facility. So if it's a test, so if it's a drug test, alcohol test, or someone comes there and it's how they leave, since that's your focus and that's the impact, you absolutely are saving lives. Because I think, again, I think we're like-minded with and inserting positivity into the trucking industry as a whole. There's not enough of that. So when there's a light in a dark place, people remember. And I think that's something that you can proudly wear, is the fact that, hey, I lit up that guy's life, or I lit up that gal's life because you're just a genuinely good person. And the tools and technology, I think that just really highlights, again, okay, who's Vickie? Well, I'm changing the world, literally. And I think that's just really, really cool. And I'm super grateful that you were this vulnerable too, because you didn't have to be. Obviously, you could have been pretty reserved, but it was really nice just, hearing the backstories and hearing, this is what I care about. No, Josh, I really care about this. And we need to I really like that, because as you can tell, I get excited. I get dizzy because I shake my head so much. But I just
go over down a few times. I love it. I love it. There's so much fun. There's so much potential, and there's money to be made in this industry. Like, you know what I mean? You can set your own, it's flexible, it's hardworking, but that's okay.
Yes.
There's so much. And I thank you very, very much for inviting me. You know what I mean? It's okay to be uncomfortable. Originally, and then you realize that, that's silly. It didn't take long to get comfortable, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. And yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. So just kind of as we come to a close, I was like, anything, I guess, any final thoughts, but also how can, just a recap, people can get in contact with Fleet Tax Compliance Services and iMVR Canada? Where would they go again? And how do they contact you?
Yep. My cell number, okay, is 289-260-2820. I'll repeat it. So 289-260-2820. That is my direct cell, which if I'm not there, it goes off to another, is directed across to another person that will be there to help. And 855-224-4687 is our 800 line for iMVR, as well as Fleet Tax. Again, our website, our email, I should say, is info@fleettaxservices.com or info@imvrcanada.ca.
Nice. No, I'm stoked. I love you hit those passion points so fast, and I just, yeah, like I said, I'm literally dizzy. I had to calm my head shaking down just because I really agree just with your vision and the impact that you're having. So I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you're a carrier, if you're a driver, even if you're a supplier and you have commercial vehicles, obviously our industry is really big. And if you're like, man, that is a fascinating concept, call Vickie. Honestly, get in the door, because there's huge opportunities for improvement, for safety, just for cultural improvements too, that I'm just really excited just to see, it work for obviously people listening, but also I'm really excited, Vickie, just to see the growth, because I think there's endless potential. And it's not like, in my mind, I'm like, man, it doesn't have to just be trucking, because once you start talking equipment, I'm like,
oh yeah,
very identical concept. So it's really cool, and I'm super excited for you. I think it's awesome.
Thank you very much. Like it's nice seeing the new industry come in with garbage trucks, solid and liquid waste, dump trucks. It's very interesting. There's a lot more coming, down, and it's nice, Josh, hearing carriers that are using the system saying, this has saved us so much, like 10% reduction, like perfect, sweet,
yes,
right? Or did you ever think about, hey, here's a good one, perfect, that saves, like a perfect video game, you know what I mean, a segment to put in. It's really nice hearing that come back. It's, what more can we do? It feels great.
Good. Yeah, I'm thrilled for you, and I'm thrilled for the industry too, because this is where we need to be, and this is where we need to go. And it's nice to know that I really respect your humility too. I haven't gotten an ounce of, even through excitement, you don't brag, which I really respect, because some people they shift, they go from mindful to, oh, woo is me, and you don't portray that at all. So I think that's, again, a superpower where you can say, let's just save some lives, and you absolutely are. So I'm excited. Totally.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Keep with the podcast. I love them. It's awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Really do. Mm-hmm.
Good.
Appreciate
your
time.
Yeah, no, I do too. This was awesome. So yeah, thank you so much again. And I hope you have a really good rest of your day. This was awesome.
Thank you. Greatly.
Perfect.
Everybody enjoy the day. Take care.
Vickie, honestly, thank you so much for today's our conversation, our interview. Your journey is really inspiring, and I really appreciate how you value and uplift professionals in our industry. So one of the biggest takeaways from our interview is when you spoke about your daughter, honestly, the involvement, how she's now taking the reins, you're living a true family mission, and I really value that. So for our listeners, I believe Vickie shared so much value also in talking about people feeling comfortable and using technology to strengthen relationships and safety performance through effective communication. So I believe if we all took time out of our day just to become a little better at communicating, we could truly create a lasting change that's for the better. I also encourage you to connect with Vickie, as she's included her emails, phone numbers, and everything in the show notes below. But you can also visit imvrcanada.ca and fleettaxservices.com. So again, thank you so much, Vickie. I really value everything that you shared today, and I thought that our interview was just awesome. So thank you so much. So to all of our dedicated listeners, Honestly, I feel this interview, we knocked it out of the park. Thanks to Vickie, thanks to just how honest and vulnerable she was. But it's because of just your time and your investment into this podcast is also what makes it so great. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for your ongoing support. This is the first time you've ever checked out a podcast. Awesome. Obviously, it's a truck focused podcast, and I feel you definitely got a lot of value out of this one. So I do ask that you subscribe and you like the podcast. If you're listening to this on any major podcast platform, Apple, Google, Spotify, all that good stuff, simply just subscribe and like, because there's a lot of really good experts and industry leaders out there, just like Vickie, creating such an impact. And it's just really great when I have the opportunity to bring them on, ask them some really good questions. It's just, yeah, it's wonderful. So make sure you don't miss out just by hitting subscribe. Same thing, if you're watching this on YouTube, there was some visual dynamics in this conversation, which was super cool. And yeah, I just encourage you, same thing. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, so that way you're notified of all upcoming episodes, because yeah, we do release episodes every week. So it's really good just that you're notified. And as I like to say, the greater the following, the greater the impact. And it's because of our industry coming together collectively that I call it the trickle effect. So the fact that I can help you in some shape or form by introducing you to an industry leader just like Vickie, it's going to help you. And I know the domino effect is you're going to end up helping others. So thank you so much for all of your time. And again, thank you so much just for investing your energy into this podcast. I really appreciate it. And again, thank you so much, Vickie. Hope you have a really wonderful day. So let's create a pivotal impact. Bye.